Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Update Show. I am your co-host, Trey Holiday, and I got a quick message for y'all before we get started. Honestly, this is the winter solstice that we're in. I want all of you to take a moment to reevaluate yourselves. Utilize this time to think internally and dig deep. Now, you guys know I do this with my co-host, Big O. What's up, Big O? Where you at, man?
Ray Holiday, what's happening? Did you get your superpowers?
You know I did, baby. You know what I'm saying? I'm hunkering in. You know, we got until the 24th to continue to be in alignment with these planets. It's an amazing time. Hasn't happened in, I don't know, what, 8 million years or something crazy. I mean, this is a perfect time for us to be hunkering in and thinking internally and digging deep, and thinking about who we want to be.
Trey Holiday, you've been in alignment.
Thank you, brother. I try.
Yeah, man, we've got a heavy and then a light kind of show today. We've been following up this issue here surrounding the police killing of Herbert Hightower Jr. back in 2004. The family has been on a quest for answers from the Seattle Police Department and checked in with Castill Hightower, which is Herbert Hightower Jr.'s younger sister, and we talked about their quest for answers from the Seattle Police Department. They've been trying to get their case files from the SPD. They've been having a struggle with that. We also reached out to the SPD. We reached out to some city council, and we heard back from some people. We didn't hear back from others. So we're going to hop into that, and we'll discuss that here shortly before we go into that interview. Also, we're joined by Corinne of Seattle Times Digital from the Seattle Times. Man, did you see the video, the 2020 year in review?
So good. And as a producer, I just thought, man, all the things that they had to leave on the editing floor, I'm excited to get into that one today.
Yeah, that's a tough edit. So we'll have that'll be a great conversation there. And if you haven't seen the video, Seattle Times, they granted us permission. You didn't have to jack it. They granted us permission to play that video in its entirety. You can also find it there on the Seattle Times website if you put in 2020 video year in review. We're also joined by Shaina Shepard. I think we're going to have some black girl magic. Shaina just released a new song called Harambe. And, you were over there in Kenya, and so was I. We recognize Harambe as a Swahili word. She just released a new song inspired by Kwanzaa, so excited for that.
Absolutely. So excited to connect with Shaina on this song. And I love when Shaina comes on. I promise you, anytime we can bring Shaina on, let's do it.
And then, of course, we'll have producer Nikki Barron, who's been bunkered in there in the home studio, and she's going to be giving us the coronavirus numbers and update for today. So pretty full show. We're going to get right into it. We don't have headlines today because this interview with Castill Hightower is about 10 minutes in length. So that's our whole first segment. It was real interesting talking to Castill Hightower. And, one of the things that really resonated in it is, you talk about 16 years. It was 16 years ago that Herbert Hightower Jr. was shot and killed by the Seattle Police Department. Well, she talks about the power of movements and how it's the power of the movement that's occurring and the momentum and some of everything else. And that momentum that her family has carried combined with the overall momentum is even how she hooked up with people like T-Dub Customs, who hooked up with, King County Equity Now, and then Russell Wilson, and then the name on the cleat. And now all of a sudden, Herbert Hightower Jr. isn't just a Seattle name. It's on a national forefront. She also talked about what's interesting here, and we'll get into it, is that the narrative with the media and narrative in community. She talks about back in 2004 when her brother was killed. She said that the police put out but she says their narrative, and that the media ran with it, and even some in the community ran with it. One of the early people who, in reading this, was that the Seattle Police Department reached out to at the time was the NAACP and NAACP president at the time, Carl Mack, who at the time, in doing the research there, was very much aligned with what police said occurred there. So what the family is saying is they've never really had a full answer. They said that the Seattle Police Department has changed what they said happened a few times. And so Castill Hightower is here looking for answers, the Hightower family. And it was a pretty deep interview. The whole interview was about 25 minutes, and we'll put the whole interview online later on today. But she touches on quite a few things here.
I just want to say thank you, and Converge, for really uplifting and highlighting these stories in our community. As we've seen, and we've talked about this before, that the narratives that end up getting ran with major media, a lot of the times don't have the real finite details. And, those reporters, those producers that work at, major media stations are not inherently connected to the community that they're reporting about or reporting even to. A lot of the times, even though they're a part of it, they live in Seattle, but I mean being plugged in. So I love that we're able to go in a little bit deeper here and really share this story with our audience.
Well, it's a story worth sharing, and there's answers for the family that worth getting. All of that being said, we're going to go into this interview right now. It's about 9.5 minutes.
My brother was wonderful. He was the life of the party. He had this, what my aunt and so many of my family members called this big Kool-Aid smile. He was an amazing father to my nephew, who's now, I think he's 19, just entering college. He was so goofy, so playful. And like so many working class people, he had his struggles.
What was the determination or the justification that the police gave 16 years ago when they killed your brother?
So, and that's part of the issue here, is that it changed so many times. So initially they told us that he was walking towards the police when they shot him. And that they were sorry that they chose to shoot him, and the fact that they didn't have any, less than lethal weapons. They said that they left that in the trunk. That then changed to him running with 2 knives in his hand. The first one he was walking with 1 knife. Then it changed, oh no, he was running with 2 knives in his hand when they shot him. And then it changed that he was walking and they tried to talk to him. And when he wouldn't listen, then they shot him. So any of those scenarios is not justification for shooting my brother. It's not justification for killing him, for murdering him. And when it kind of hit the media, they just took on the narrative of whatever the police decided to tell them. They didn't know that we as a family had no idea, we still were not clear as to what happened to him. 16 years later even. But at that time, we still were like, what? We don't know. We don't have any really concrete answers as to what happened. And so because of that, we didn't really get much community support at all. The community, there were no marches, there were no vigils, there was nothing really. There was, I think, one concert that was done that helped to raise funds for his burial expenses, but there was no pushback on the narrative that the police gave to the media and the community.
Have you had any progress with any release of files?
Well, we received one installment, which didn't give us any answers. It was literally just the pictures of the neighborhood that we resided in that we were already familiar with. Like one of the pictures was like a picture of a bush. Another was a picture of a random guy sleeping in the car. And so none of the pictures were useful. It didn't bring us any closer to justice, any closer to answers, or the changing stories that the police gave us initially when my brother was first killed. That changed at least 3 times. And there was no, I guess, from what I was told, when they do installments, they typically will tell you how many installments there are. And they didn't even tell us how many installments we should be expecting or when the next installment is going to be put out. So it really didn't help us at all in regards to trying to find out what happened that night. I think the least that the Seattle police can do is to give a grieving family some answers as to what happened, especially when initially they gave us so many different answers or stories rather of what happened to my brother. So just getting to that first step has taken over 130 days, over almost 2,000 people signing a petition, 9 city council members sending a letter. And the result of that, as much as I appreciate all that support and would like to continue that, I know that we need to keep fighting. It shouldn't be so difficult for a family who has been grieving for 16 years, wanting answers, given so many different accounts of what happened to get a picture of a bush, to get a picture of a guy sleeping in a car. Like, that to me is just the overarching issue of a lack of accountability by the Seattle Police Department. The fact that we had over 14,000 complaints over the summer due to the uprising of the Justice for George Floyd and the Black Lives Matter movement. The fact that there's recently been a federal judge who stated that, was holding them in contempt because they threw blast balls in crowds of peaceful protesters. Just all of the accounts of police brutality and police killings under Mayor Durkin's watch, just the continuation of a lack of accountability, I think is at the heart of this conversation. Not necessarily all of the excuses they give, because it shows, it's an example of what the lengths they will go to not hold themselves accountable, and to pass the buck and put that burden on grieving families, on people who have been hurt and harmed by the Seattle Police Department. I think that's the real issue at hand. But certainly it's suspicious why it would take this long, and why they wouldn't tell us how many installments there are, and why they would try to claim that it's moot, but we don't even know when the next installment is. And the fact that the first installment didn't have any written record, it was just literally pictures of the area that we already knew about.
But on the Seattle Police Department side, they're saying that there's 7,000, 8,000, 9,000 requests. They said that they've filled 6,800 requests so far. And what they're saying is that their people are overworked. They have the highest production for the public records request of any department in the city. And they're saying that they're doing the best they can.
They'll say that they're overworked. They're also one of the highest paid departments in the city of Seattle. One of the most inflated budget that just got $5.4 million in overtime pay during the Justice for George Floyd movements in Seattle that showed so much brutalization of so many peaceful protests. They got additional pay for that. Just looking at this department and seeing just the lack of accountability again, like if I were to, respond to something that had to do with my job that directly harmed a family, that directly traumatized a family, I would get fired for that. But they're allowed to do that. They're allowed to not have any accountability, to continue to make excuse after excuse after excuse. And what is my family supposed to do in the meantime? Just continue to grieve, just be okay with that? I think it just shows the power of a movement and the need of movements in order to pressure these institutionalized, these multiple institutions who refuse to have any accountability for their actions, who push back against any type of, I'm not necessarily reformist, but any type of change to the way that they're lacking in that accountability. They push back on, community oversight boards. They push back on defunding, but they have the largest budget in the Seattle city. So what is it? Should we now continue to just have this overinflated budget with lack of accountability and be okay with that? When do we say enough is enough? My family is a casualty of their lack of accountability. My family was directly harmed. My brother was snatched from us. And I'm supposed to be okay with them not giving me answers and continuing to gaslight my family and continue to make excuses for the fact that they refuse to give us answers? I'm not okay with that. I don't think anyone who believes in justice for impacted families, who believes in justice for impacted people who have been brutalized by the Seattle police, should be okay with that.
Herbert Hightower Jr. was a name that might have been known locally here in Seattle, and even after 16 years after his death, maybe not by a large population in Seattle, but that changed. His name is now on the national forefront. And that has a lot to do with Russell Wilson wearing an actual cleat in a game a few weeks ago that had your brother's name on it.
These things, man.
Takia Ward, the local Seattle-based artist who helped create that mural, she gave me information about that opportunity that, there's going to be some custom-made cleats that Russell Wilson is going to be wearing during a game. And she wanted to know if I'd be interested in having my brother be one of the portraits featured on those custom-made cleats.
I'm Teed Up Customs, and I am the artist for Russell Wilson's custom cleats for My Cause, My Cleats. Herbert lost his life in 2004. Me being, from the city, I suggested also featuring some people that were local to this statement and movement. So the people that I chose for that are Herbert Hightower Jr. and Charlena Lyles. And the reasons why I wanted to feature them is because they are from here, and also just to make sure that their names are also added to this national conversation.
And so I'm forever grateful to her, as well as Russell Wilson, King County Equity Now, Why Not You Foundation for that amazing opportunity. And so basically the rest was history. We just, it was something that if we weren't out there pushing for information, pushing, a part of a larger movement, that wouldn't have happened either. So I'm grateful for everyone involved, as well as the movement that allowed it to occur as well. But we also know that we have to continue to fight, not just for my family, for all impacted families, for all impacted persons, all of those who have to fight for justice, all of those that are left out of so many conversations in regards to what justice looks like. But just to keep fighting and to keep going, because we will.
Seattle Police Department has said, thank you for reaching out to the Seattle Police Department for comment. One installment of records in the Herbert Hightower Jr. incident was released to the requester on December 4th. The next installment is expected to be ready for release on December 31st. We understand the frustration, but as stated in a response to the Seattle City Council, neither the Public Records Act nor the city's rules allow SPD to prioritize one request over another. By way of further context, the public records officer to whom this is assigned currently has 385 open requests they are managing. So Trey Holiday, first of all, we followed through. We talked here to the Hightower family. I also talked to OPA, clearly talked there to the Seattle Police Department. And, what the SPD is saying, Chief Diaz, actually what happened is Sawant had rallied behind the family, the Hightower family, and actually composed a letter, and all 9 Seattle City Council members signed a letter over to Chief Diaz requesting the release of the records. Chief Diaz wrote a letter back on December 4th, basically saying that their office produces the most public disclosure request of any department, but basically saying that that they're for the most part understaffed. But then also what they're saying is that they fill requests as they are submitted. And what they're saying is they can't circumvent the law around that. Castill Hightower feels that there is a way to be able to circumvent that. But here's the story.
Yeah, I mean, Castill, it really does take passionate family members to push for their beloved family that has been murdered by the hands of police. We've seen this across the nation. It is not relegated only to Seattle. But unfortunately, when the public hears that life was taken in 2004 and this family is getting stuck in some type of bureaucratic process around, processing these types of requests, that is not sufficient, right? And this is exactly why what she said is so true. We have to continue to press. It is really on all of us as community members to hold our elected officials accountable, to hold those that are in public authority positions accountable. It really is, because unfortunately, the job in and of itself does not do that. And I respect, Chief Diaz for, the response. But again, unfortunately, to say that, this family lost a life, 16 years ago, and we can't ensure that they get information before these other requests are processed, it really does feel like that's just not sufficient enough. And for me, as a community member, I'll tell you this much. There's a lot of requests that are around police actually killing folks, and it's the family that's pressing. The police in and of themselves are not saying, hey, we need to get answers to this family. If the family stops pressing, the answers don't come. I think about my homeboy, Tyrone Love. He was murdered on Cherry years ago, and we still don't know who his killer is. The case is still open, right? It just is unfortunate that a lot of these cases, they go unanswered. I'm really hoping that this family gets the answers they deserve.
Right. Just a side note, though, Tyrone Love wasn't murdered by the Seattle Police Department, but his murder is still unsolved. So here's the thing is, we like to follow things up. So reached out to Seattle Police Department. The Seattle Police Department basically said that the issue there is systemic. They have a lot of requests coming in. They said that they don't have enough budget or enough people to be able to handle the requests. So from there, of course, I reached out to Lisa Herbold, who is the chair of public safety, and I asked for her any comment on, okay, well, how do we fix the system? What this is now addressed is that, man, the system clearly isn't as efficient as it could be. And that's what Chief Diaz said in the letter that he wrote on the 4th. I reached out to Lisa Herbold to try to get a comment from her perspective as the chair of public safety. No response from Lisa Herbold. We did get a response, though, from the Seattle Police Department, which I read there on air, and they're saying that a second installment of the files should be delivered on December 31st. Hopefully at that time as well, they'll be able to give Castill, Hightower, and the Hightower family a timeline on the additional installments. We're going to take a break. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I just wanted to say this because it's really at the top of mind right now. I really wonder about their process in general. When a family loses a life in 2004, they were asking for answers then. So I don't understand how it gets stuck in some type of bureaucratic process. I really would love to understand how we fix this issue, because it isn't something that we need to allow to continue to destroy kind of families. And I just literally the passion that was coming off of Castill. I mean, you feel it because her family is still searching, and so many families still searching for answers. We actually had Charlena Lau's family on our show as well, still searching for answers. So my question really is about their process. How is it that not 2 years later, even within that year, that family is getting answers? How is it that their department doesn't have any understanding really about what really happened, to be able to just even come from a personal approach? Like, yeah, they went through this request process, but ultimately it could be the act of one amazing officer who says, look, I was involved in that case or whatever. I want to be able to share with you what I know. These kinds of situations are why people really have a major, major distrust with the police. And I'm really wanting in our lifetime to see some change there. Oh, sorry, I just had to say that.
No problem. I mean, what we can do here at Converge, we don't have a lot of resources, so we can't track down everything that's going on. But this is a story that we can definitely stay on top of. And, any family, regardless of the circumstances, will want to get as much information about what occurred. So we'll stay on top of this. We'll continue to follow up with Castill, Hightower, and the Hightower family, and also the SPD. And also, it'd be good to hear from other people in the city about the system and what changes can occur there. We're going to take a short break right now. When we come back, we got Corinne Chen of Seattle Times digital unit over there at the Seattle Times. They made a wonderful year in review video. We're going to watch that, and we'll be talking to her. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
My parents coming over here as refugees meant that they didn't really have anything when they came to America. Having reliable healthcare and having a reliable doctor was really important. Gongdong của tôi, trạm y tế của tôi.
我的社区，我的诊所。Mi comunidad, mi clínica.
bulshada iyo baqaaraha.
My community, my clinic.
what's up, everybody? It's your man, the Big O. Want to take a moment here, first of all, to say thank you for your support of Converge Media. We definitely wouldn't be here without you. Secondly, I want to thank everybody who is a supporter of Converge Media on Patreon. We definitely appreciate your support. And for those of you might not know, I'll let you know, we operate 100% off of donations. Some donations big, most donations small, but we love all donations all the same. If you haven't done so yet, I want to encourage you to go on our website to whereweconverge.com/donate and subscribe. You click on the Patreon link and you can subscribe for as little as $5 a month. There's higher tiers beyond that as well. And just know that your subscription literally keeps us on the air. Once again, I want to thank you for all your support. All right, welcome back to the Morning Update Show. My name is Omari Salisbury.
I am Trey Holiday. Hey, y'all.
All right, Bay Holiday, we've got a guest in this segment. Oh, yeah, please bring in Corinne Chen. Good morning.
Morning, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Hi.
Yeah, well, welcome to the Morning Update Show. I'm sorry we went a few minutes long there, but I think you could see it was a real important segment that we were covering. So appreciate your patience. We're gonna jump right into it here. We're gonna play the video that you edited here in a moment. But before we do, why don't you give us some of your thoughts going into it, your thought process and putting a video together that represents such a crazy year?
Yeah, we normally do a video like this for our Pictures of the Year event, which we normally have live at the Seattle Public Library, and we show all of our pictures. And it's usually kind of a short montage of some of our most beautiful footage. But of course, this year was so different. And so when I sat down and looked at everything we had produced this year, what I really wanted to do was create a video where everyone watching could feel validated and seen and heard, and like they weren't alone. We've been so isolated this year, and I wanted to relive this year with everyone the way that we all lived it, and reinforce, you're not the only one going through this. We've all been through this together. So it was a little bit different than in years past, and a little bit longer, actually about twice as long, just because of the amount of things we saw and reported on this year. But I wanted it, since we can't be all together in the library this year, to feel, to help us all feel more connected.
All right. So we're going to go ahead and play the video now. And me and Trey, we got lots of questions for you on the other side.
It's wild that overnight all of these things were just well, that's not going to happen.
Everybody's panicked about it.
Having, things like alcohol wipes, that whole section in the grocery store is completely empty.
Right now, we're so isolated. And I'm afraid that this might cause a lot of mental illness for people, a lot of depression. We don't know when it's going to be over.
He's at Monroe Correctional Complex, and he was just bawling, crying on the phone, saying, if I get this, Mom, I'm going to die. And I haven't heard from him since.
It's just so sad to see patients not getting any better. Their family is unable to see them, and we are everything that they have for the moment.
They allowed 2 people in the ICU. It's my mom and my sister. We weren't able to be in the room, but at least we were able to be close by.
People think that this coronavirus is nothing, or it's not real. We lost my 2 sisters and my mom. Just too much pain. Just too much pain.
It's my parents' first grandchild. They're not going to be able to like come over and hold the baby.
I didn't imagine that I would be doing so much in this pregnancy alone. I don't want to be the only one to hear baby's heartbeat.
The good thing about this pandemic is that it really showed us this is what the community should be like.
Por eso es satisfactorio darlo, porque yo sé, yo lo viví, yo sé lo que se siente cuando uno recibe algo que necesita.
Small businesses are someone's livelihood. Small businesses are someone's hopes and dreams for providing better for their family.
Ever since the shutdown of the bike place, we've had nowhere to sell our flowers.
You know, my parents have been through worse. They were refugees from the Vietnam War. So I think we'll get through this.
Of we want a better system, we want a better way about things, man, I mean, that's part and parcel of our history right here. Thousands of people came through here just because they wanted to be around people who felt the same way.
This is a long-term battle, a long-term war. We have not won anything by being here.
I don't see no right here, bring on your right here. I don't see no right here, bring on.
We give police officers much more power and authority than we give many or most or all other professions.
When I was 16, a police officer here in Seattle, morally wrong, killed my uncle for no reason. Everyone says, man, you look just like John. And it's not something I'm trying to hear every day.
If someone in your family was taken by a cop, all your heart and soul, you're going to go through heartache, memories you can't stop. You're going to deal with hatred, rage. It's a side of you you've never been in the level of.
Say his name! Say his name!
My brother died the same way as so many others. Like Trayvon Martin, my brother was just walking from the store. Like George Floyd, my brother said that he couldn't breathe.
It's the worst thing that could ever happen to a parent. You have to look at your boy in that casket.
You're not going to be able to bury your child in Babyland because we don't, bury minority children.
My father was a police officer, and he still couldn't get justice for his child.
Cuando a mi mamá se me murió, a mí me decían que era huérfana. Cuando mi esposo se me murió, yo quedé viuda. Pero se me han muerto mis hijas y no tienen nombre.
It's hard now with the border being closed. We haven't been able to see each other for over 200 days. The only possible way that I can be with her now is if I marry her.
If we hadn't met each other, our lives, especially during quarantine, would just be so bland and boring. A big part of what makes us human and what keeps society running is being able to socialize with other people.
All right. Wow. Corinne Chin. Powerful video there. Trey Holiday.
Oh my gosh. Corinne, I just got to say that honestly, this is a phenomenal edit that you did. I mean, really, for me, I was just choking up the whole time because it really is such a great snapshot of what we've seen right here in Seattle in 2020. My first question, honestly, to you is how did you feel when you saw the final edit?
That's a great question. I felt, I felt very emotional as well. The thing about this year, on top of everything we experienced together and everything we just saw, is that it changed everything we do as visual journalists. And I think with what we try to do at the Seattle Times is try to spend time with people and help people tell their own stories in their own words. And that usually means spending a lot of time just hanging out, and all things that because of the pandemic, it's not safe to do. And so it really has turned our whole process upside down to the point where I think I, as a journalist, was feeling very frustrated for a lot of the year and feeling like I wasn't getting enough done, that I wasn't telling enough stories from the people who needed it most. And to see that actually we covered all the stories that you just saw, and each of those little quotes are fuller stories, each several minutes long. I realized, you know what, we've been doing a really good job, I think, connecting with people and telling these really important stories, and I just hope that we reach people with it.
Now, tell us a little bit more about Seattle Times Digital Unit. I became familiar with you guys during the protest, and man, I mean, you guys put out the video, The Uprising, and to be honest with you, people who aren't from here and they're trying to figure out what happened and everything else, that's the video that I send them. That's the very first thing that I send them. Not even anything of ours. I send them the Uprising. Tell me how video is now complementing so much of Seattle Times, traditionally a print or read newspaper all these years, and the extra layer of what digital now brings.
Yeah, I joined the Times in 2014 with my colleague Lauren Frone on the video team. We started at the same time. And I think, we started at a time when the paywall was just going up. A lot more of what we call digital journalism was being put in place at the Times. And so I've had kind of this front row seat to it. And, with the video team specifically, since 2014, Lauren and I knew that we didn't want to just reiterate the text story. That's not what we're here to do, even though that's what a lot of other news sites do. We really wanted to tell our own stories with video. We didn't want people to click play and feel like it was just the same thing they had already read. We wanted it to be another angle to the piece, another experience. So for us on video, we really wanted to do things that were character driven, that we spent time with people, that we could hear people in their own voices, from their own perspectives, and not and feel just like totally different from what you read in the paper. So we really wanted, like you said, to complement and not to compete, not to be redundant. And I think that with other aspects of our digital team, we try to do the same thing. So social media is not just copying and pasting one sentence from the story, right? It's its own thing in itself. We do Instagram stories. We have full audience engagement plans. We have call outs where readers and viewers can actually talk back to us. So digital is not just, stuck on the end of the process. We're really there along the way from the beginning of the reporting, no matter if you're a video producer or a web producer or an engagement editor.
Yeah, that makes a huge difference, because really coming from that team perspective where you can attack it on so many different levels really does, I think for me, because I'm a producer too. So for me, I go, that amplifies it, right? If I'm reading the text, it's one thing, but the personification I think that digital brings is something totally different. My next question really for you is, I love the representation of so many different ethnicities and cultures that you put together in that edit. I want to ask you about, your thought process along the way as you were, figuring out, hey, this is a great piece. This is a great piece. You had amazing continuity from one story to the next, but you also did a great job of just showcasing different ethnicities and cultures in that edit. How did that affect how you were picking pieces?
Yeah, I love that question, and I'm so glad you asked that. And I'll bring it back to digital for just a brief moment. I think that our digital journalists are younger than the rest of the newsroom, more diverse than the rest of the newsroom, and I think those perspectives are so important, especially in this time where so many of us are living our entire lives online, digitally, remotely, communicating in that way. And so to answer your question on bringing in all these different backgrounds to the year in review video, I would say this is just an honest reflection of what we covered as a video team in 2020. This is completely representative. And the reason it is so diverse and inclusive is because we've been working toward this culture for years now. I started the newsroom's diversity and inclusion task force in 2017. And what we wanted to do was to take a really hard look at who we were representing in our content across the website, across the newspaper, and put in some systematic measures to do that, and part of that is having a diverse staff, a diverse digital team. And so instead of, having it be, oh, am I representing a good cross section in my coronavirus coverage? That was just something we were already doing because we had started that process in 2017. And I think we actually went back and counted in like 2018, we did a really informal audit of our video stories, and we hadn't really done any stories with a white man as the central character. And that was something we were really proud of, because that's just not what we see normally in the media, nothing against white men, but we just wanted to flip the script and have people feel like they were represented and feel validated and seen, like I said earlier. That's something that's been really important for me, because growing up as a daughter of immigrants, journalism wasn't in my life at all in a meaningful way until probably high school or college, because my community was just not covered in my hometown paper. And it wasn't something my family subscribed to. And I think that journalism is so important. I think a lot of people who support Converge understand how important journalism is for our democracy and our future, and to not represent and not make entire communities, entire populations feel like they're a part of this process is a really terrible thing. And I think as a digital unit, especially, but also as a paper, we've done so much work in the past few years to make that a culture of the expectation is that we are including everyone that we can.
Right. Now I have a question for you. What didn't make it? And especially there was news before COVID at the beginning of the year. What were some of the difficult cuts that you had to make that did not make this video?
Yeah, definitely everything that happened before COVID was declared a pandemic. If you rewatch the video, there's this brief quick cuts kind of montage toward the beginning where I included really like split second frames of a lot of those stories. And, one of them actually, if you look at the project page for the full videos of the year presentation, you can watch some of these. It's st.news/videos2020, or if you just look up videos of the year 2020, Seattle Times, or Seattle Times 2020 year in video. One of them by Ramon Downpour was these families make these replicas of Star Wars drones that are working and functioning, and they're so cool. They have, they really feel like they have personality behind them. So everything from fun stories like that to some more serious stories on people experiencing homelessness. We actually had a whole project published early in the year out of Australia, where my colleague Lauren Frone, who I mentioned, went to Geelong, Australia with our education lab team to take a look at how they were handling students experiencing homelessness and supporting those students, and see if any of those methods could be applied to the situation we're having here in Seattle. Lauren also had 2 of her installments of her docuseries on the missing and murdered Indigenous women published early in the year. Ramon also did a piece on an athlete with MS. He did a piece on a comedian who struggled with homelessness and addiction and overcame that. So there were a lot of really good stories, even in 2 months, that, were only just a split second in the final edit. But, like I said, I really wanted to tell the story of colloquially 2020, kind of how it went and what we experienced. And the 2, I think, big universal themes for us here in Seattle were Seattle's initial response to the pandemic, as well as the protests. Another thing that didn't quite make it is early on, we did all of these stories socially distanced, so I'll make that clear. So anything that we filmed in person was outdoors, at least 6 feet of distance. And Omari remembers when we were filming with him for the uprising, we have a long boom pole for a microphone, and we're all masked up, gloves, sanitizer, everything. But early, during the first stay home orders, we did almost all of our videos on Zoom, which had a lot of issues with connectivity and audio and challenges that way. And I think the storytelling we produced was effective, but there were some pieces of audio that I thought were really powerful that didn't quite have the best quality because they were on Zoom that I didn't include. And then I think another piece that I wish we could have included more was what happened with the Life Care Center at Kirkland, which really was, it feels like a lifetime ago, but that was our first local connection to this global thing where that outbreak was really the first big one in the country. And we just didn't have a lot of access. I mean, we didn't have access inside the center, of course. Nobody was going in. We didn't know much about the virus at that point. But, I just want to mention that because those stories of those families is also really heartbreaking. And we did a lot of great content on that throughout the year.
Absolutely. Well, this has been great checking in with you about this amazing piece. My last question, honestly, for you is understanding the editing process is so huge, right? It takes a lot of time to make sure you're going through the pieces. I just want to ask, how long were you working to create this amazing video?
I definitely underestimated how long it would take just looking at previous years. I would say, I probably spent a solid full work week on this. And that involved rewatching all of our content, which was really hard. And I had to take a lot of breaks just during that process because remembering all the people who we spoke with who lost so much during the year. And I think especially reliving a lot of what we saw during the protests was really, I think, difficult for me, not just as a journalist, but as a person. And so, yeah, I think rewatching everything and deciding which part of those stories I wanted to include was the hardest part. And then taking the time I needed to sit and process through what I was feeling and also how it might make viewers feel, and go through that. That took the longest, but yeah, probably about a week.
Right. And last question here before we let you go. What can we expect from Seattle Times digital team in 2021?
Well, I think this year was a test drive for a lot of our methods with the socially distanced Zoom interviews, with some of our reader call outs on our engagement team. And I think now that we've been in it for the better part of a year, we have our sea legs under us and we know what works. And we're ready to take on 2021. And, you know, not treating all of these different ways of working as temporary, but as the new normal. And please, please reach out to us at the Seattle Times if you have a story that you think we should be covering. I think that a lot of people have this preconceived notion of what the Seattle Times newsroom is, who works here, what it looks like. And the truth is, you know, I think it is a lot more. You know, we're incredibly thoughtful, especially, you know, as we're trying new things digitally, trying things that we've never done before. We want to hear from you. We want to work with you to tell your stories in new ways, in ways that reach the people that need to hear those stories. So for us on the video team, it's video@seattletimes.com, or you can look me up, and I'm always happy to have a conversation with you if you think you have a story that needs to be told.
All right, Corinne Chin from the Seattle Times digital team. I want to tell you, we're in an exceptional job. You guys are doing an amazing job in storytelling there. Keep it up. And thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much.
All right, we'll be right back. When we come back, we've got Shaina Shepard, and it's time for some Black Girl Magic. All right, welcome back to the Morning Update Show. My name is Omari Salisbury, and somewhere around here is my co-host.
Oh man, that little beat gets me going every time. I love it.
Back there dancing, huh? Yo, man, that video is dope. You know, these guys are exceptional video storytellers over there at the Seattle Times. Right now, though, man, you know, this Shaina Shepard, it was somebody. She's got to be one of the hardest working women in music, and we love to have her on the show. And oh yeah, this is your buddy. Please bring Shaina Shepard on screen.
Hey,
hey, what's up? How are you, boo?
Good, sis.
You're looking gorgeous.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You too. Always this skin game is on log. You get in the quarantine glow. Oh, hey, Amari.
Yeah, I get the hey. I see.
You're ready already. Take her out.
What is he doing mid-sentence?
I see where this is going. I'll just set this up. Is that, you know, you're on here today. I know you guys want to kick me out as usual, but you're on here today because you have a new song that you've released that's been inspired by Quant. Oh, he's telling me I gotta go. All right, Trey, I'm going.
Yeah. Shaina, you can set it up for us. Tell us about this song. Alia does have a clip, but let's set it up so that the folks know what we're listening to. Some of your new amazing music.
Oh my gosh. Well, number one, thank you guys for having me here. It feels like this is really the right place because I've been celebrating Kwanzaa only for 3 years, and every year I've been able to deepen my relationship with the holiday because every year I get more amazing, beautiful Black people in my life and Black creators in my life that inspire me even more so. And I have definitely felt the most connected to my roots this year of any part of my whole life. And I wanted to really celebrate all of the spirit of Kwanzaa. I mean, there's 7 days and 7 principles, and it's all every principle to be heard and recognizable by the choices that I made with each of those words. So that just is like an anthem, just kind of get you up in the morning. you know.
Yes, I'm so elated. Oh yeah, please, let's play that clip.
Oh my God.
Believe in love. Believe in hope.
Kumba kumba eo, kumba kumba eo, kumba kumba eo, kumba kumba eo, kumba kumba.
Woo! Shaina! Hold on now. Oh, so please. Oh my gosh. Yes. And in the spirit almost of like, that connection to that ancestral world when we are talking about something like Kwanzaa, it really does take us into Black Americans understanding some of those African concepts and principles that, original civilizations were built on and how we bring those into our life today. Great work, my friend. Where can people find this song? Because I'm downloading it today.
Yo, it's everywhere. It's on Spotify. Give me Spotify streams, y'all. Because child, that's a whole different conversation. And Apple Music, it's on Tidal. It's everywhere. We got it on YouTube and everything. And I just, I wouldn't say it's perfect. I had the most amazing experience kind of connecting with my family last night after we put the song out. And just really my family was just like, it sounds like Aunt Carol in there. And it was just like, I wanted to just put it out there, even though it's not perfect, because it's like a time right now where I feel like we all need a little bit of uplift. It's getting dark out there, and so I just wanted to make it available now. And I can't wait to do more stuff with it, honestly. I'm just like, let's get a choir.
That's what I heard there was some choir notes. I mean, there's a lot of ways that you can really, uplift it and even do more. I love that you even said that, because that's where my mind was like, oh yeah, she's right. A get up and go song for sure. And just putting you in that positive light. I got to ask you something else about the amazing photo shoot you just had there. I mean, you were in your full royal regalia. I mean, that's amazing. With the principles there, with the candles, with the foods that were there, a lot of symbolism there. Tell the folks about some of the choices that you made to make sure that certain symbols were embedded in just that photo alone.
Well, I have to do a massive shout out to Rachel Bennett, who took the photos and designed the whole shoot, and she was just amazing. Like, just really quickly just made that happen. But Kwanzaa, basically it's Swahili for first fruits, and it's not a religious holiday, but it's just all about connecting to the ancestry of your people and celebrating all it took for your legacy to take you where you are today and where you're going to go next. It's just celebrating those things. But I'm not an expert or whatever, I'm a new one, but I know there's a Moja, which is about unity. Kujichagulia, which you hear is like very aggressive in the song, is sort of self-determination, that internal drive to push you there. And then Jima is about that collective work and the responsibility. And the Jama is about like supporting Black business. # support Black businesses. Izu Jama.
Yes.
Like
yes.
Converge. And then Kumba Amani is faith.
Yeah. Amazing. And I just love that you did something that's uplifting these principles. I think so many of us can learn from them and embed them into our lives. So thank you again for sharing your amazing magic with us. Oh, beautiful song, Omari, right?
Right. Man, thank you, Shaina. And everybody out there, go support this woman. I mean, you got to tell the public what to do. You know what I'm saying? Baby, support this fantastic. It's a lot of, I bring it up too because it's a lot of artists that, man, they're in a depression right now. It's a lot of artists that aren't creating art. And you're out here, you know what I'm saying? You're managing through these things and you keep creating. So we need to support that. I want to rally everybody, support Shaina Shepard. You know what I'm saying? Go check out this song. It's like she said, it's on all platforms. Thank you so much for joining us, Shaina.
Thank
Thanks,
y'all.
Shaina.
Appreciate you so much. Have a great day. Killing it, as usual.
All right. We're going to take a short break right now. We come back. We have the coronavirus update with Nikki Barron. You're watching the Morning Update Show. All right, welcome back to the Morning Update Show. My name is Omari Salisbury.
I am Trey Holiday. Time to get those numbers.
Man, let's hope they're not all bad. Oh, yeah, please bring in Nikki Barron.
Hello.
Nikki, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
All right. I know we went long today, but it's a lot of people who watch for these numbers, so we cannot end the show without this. So go ahead, bring us up to speed. What's the numbers today in coronavirus?
Yeah, so our numbers, we have increased our numbers by 3,949 since yesterday, bringing us to a grand total of 218,415. Our hospitalizations rose by 124, bringing us to a grand total of 13,515. And we lost 2 more Washingtonians yesterday with a total of 3,106 people lost in the state of Washington since the coronavirus outbreak started way back last winter. So up next, we've got our readiness numbers here. And, you know, our goal is to keep that number of ICU beds staffed under 80%. We're down to 79.4. And I'm getting the feeling that we're going to be kind of hovering around that number through the holiday season. And hopefully, if everybody stays home, socially distances, wears a mask, we can keep that number down.
All right. And what can we look forward to on Wednesday? This tomorrow is the next episode of the Coronavirus Update Show.
Yeah, so tomorrow it's just going to be me and O talking about kind of a year in review when it comes to coronavirus, hitting some headlines that we haven't been able to hit, some updates coming out about the vaccine, as well as the mutating virus that's happening in the UK and South Africa. So it'll be just O and I at this point.
All right. Well, appreciate it, Nikki. Well, I got your eyes. I see this. We got some long distance viewers here. My man Sam Carter viewing from Tallahassee, Florida. What's up, Sam? How you doing, man? Matter of fact, I need to talk to Sam and see what's going on down there in Florida when we talk about coronavirus. Thank you, Nikki Barron. Appreciate you. And man, we'll see you tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. and then tomorrow evening at 6:15 p.m.
Thanks.
Yeah, we're going to take a short break right now. And when we come back, me and Trey Holiday got a few last words. We're watching the Morning Update Show. You know what? I was moving along here because I know that we're over time, Trey Holiday, but I forgot something. And we got to bring Nikki Barron back. Is she still back there?
I'm here.
Nikki. So Nikki, I think by now people kind of caught on that you are such a creative and diligent and hardworking producer. Can be seen by the work that you put in on the Coronavirus Update Show and here, as well as this show and other segments. But you got something funky going on, right? You got a live stream that's happening on Christmas. Was it Christmas Day?
Christmas Eve, yes. So I'm a Christmas Eve baby. So my birthday is tomorrow. And I think in my adulthood, I decided to just embrace the fact that I'm competing with Christmas when it comes to my birthday and just make a big celebration. You know, that's kind of a combination of the two. So a friend of mine, he's in the Moondoggies, and they have a 12-year tradition of doing a 3-day show at the Tractor Tavern. Sells out every year. It's such a fun event. And yeah, we couldn't do that. They couldn't do that this year. So I decided to partner with them to bring it to a live stream, and it is actually going to be a variety show this year. So I wanted to, tell you guys about it. We've got some really great artists. Shaina Shepard is playing. We've also got Castill, who's going to be doing a tutorial on how to make pumpkin spice macaroni and cheese. We've got great performances by the Moondoggies, as well as Maya Marie, Chris King and the Gutterballs. But we've got a little comedy in there too. And I brought you guys a little taste of what you will get if you tune into my live stream at 7 p.m. So here's that little promo here for you.
I think the real reason for the season is something else entirely. Is it marshmallow salads and fruit soup? No, it's the music.
Of course, the music.
There's so much wonderful holiday music to enjoy, but I think just about any song can be a holiday song.
How's that?
Well, all you gotta do is add these sleigh bells and change the lyrics a little bit, and a new holiday classic is born. Let's try it.
Okay.
All the jingle bells, 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 all the jingle bells. Now put your hooks up on the housetop. Click, 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 down through the chimney. Came some knick-knack, children nestled snug in their beds. Sugar plum tradition danced in their head. If you rock it, then you should have put a bow on it. If you rock it, then you should have put a bow on it. Don't be mad if you see us re-gifted. If you rock it, then you should have put a bow on it. Ho, ho, ho.
So, and you still find the time to put all this stuff together.
I love Christmas. I mean, I guess you can see if I stand up here. This is my Christmas sweater. It says Meowie Christmas. I love Christmas. I love my birthday, and I love our Seattle arts community. So it was really fun. I was up till 2 last night, like working on intro videos and all that kind of stuff. But it's going to be a really fun time. It'll be from 7 to 10. So, put it on, unwrap your presents, get your favorite holiday drink and join us. It's going to be a good time. Great music, great comedy, and variety.
I just gotta say, if that's what we're gonna expect, man, you can count me in. I'm going to my parents' house. I'm putting that on the big screen for all of us. That is hilarious. And you know what? Shout out to you, Nikki Barron. I'm just gotta say this because Nikki and we share this Christmas birthday thing. So immediately when we realize when our birthdays are, we understand that Capricorny drive. And I see that in all of your work. You put everything 100% into everything you do. It reminds me of myself. My birthday is 2 days after Christmas. So, you're wrapped around a bunch of Capricorn love. And let me just also say, be unique. Is also like a Christmas baby. So you're around a bunch of good energy with all of us amazing Capricorns.
All you said she's January 5th. So
no wonder we're a hardworking team.
We were supposed to have a Capricorn girls trip for our birthdays this year, but due to COVID, we're not able to do that. So I'm glad I was able to do something with that creative energy and because we were talking about doing a trip like all the way back like in July. Like we've been planning this trip, then now we can't go. So
there's no doubting your creative energy. Hey, look, we're way over time. You gonna stick with us right here?
Sure, sounds great.
All right. So any last words before we get out of here, Trey?
You know what? Again, I just got to uplift the solstice. It is the holiday season, but let's remember that right now we have an amazing opportunity to dig deep a little bit. So try it, y'all. Even if it's your first time, you don't know what you're doing, it's okay. The planets are here to help you. And I think that it's a great time to be grounded. So just remember that by December 24th, you have that opportunity.
All right, Nikki Barron.
Just tune into the live stream. Yeah, pick up your tickets. I put the link in the comments. And O and I will be on tonight at 6:50 or tomorrow night at 6:15 to give you kind of a year in review for the coronavirus.
All right. I thought for sure Nikki was going to be like, and wear a mask. That too. All right. We're out of here for today until tomorrow at 11 a.m. Peace.
Peace.
Lift every voice and sing till earth in heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun.